Do they know that the broom goes in the kitchen?
Ah,
And not on the front porch.
right.
While there are some brooms that go on the front porch, the house broom needs to go in the kitchen, right?
Right.
Do they know that the towels go in the bathroom
Right.
and not underneath of the bed?
Uh-huh.
Do they know that baby dolls go into this bin,
Right.
and they don't get hung up on the clothesline? So and you'll see all that funny stuff while they're doing
Right.
that play, right? But that is teaching them socially
Yes.
how to behave in an environment, whatever environment that is, whether it's in the kitchen, in the
Right.
bathroom, whether it's outside, whether we're in the mall. They really need to know how to do that, right? And that's
Right.
what it's training them to do.
It does. And so while people are pressing them and panicking and worrying and biting their nails over, my child doesn't know how to count to 100 yet, at this stage, that's not really important.
It's not.
Because if they can count to 100, but then, that little commercial where the little boy sits on like a planner or a hamper to go to the bathroom, and his mom's like, whoa, wrong place. If they don't understand social things like that, that's going to cause more problems, because how many people walking down the street will stop your child and say, excuse me, can you count to 100, please? Nobody's going to do it unless you offer up and say, let them know you can count to 100. Nobody's going to do that,
Right.
but people will pay attention to those social skills.
Right.
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 And so it's very, very important. Talk to my audience a little bit about the things that take place at Kids Stuff, particularly, to help prepare children for school readiness. Okay, so hitting the piece, we talked a little bit about socially. How about a little more with the emotional and the cognitive? What do you do to address those there?
So for the cognitive piece, Kids Stuff Child Care Center offers what they call the Investigators Club curriculum. It's the only curriculum that's approved by the Maryland State Department of Education for all learning domains.
Awesome.
Which is really important, because even at a young age, they are starting to develop a habit and understanding of the learning domains that they'll get when they go to school,
Right.
right? It also has a biblical component to it. So every single day, they're reading some sort of story out of the Bible, which is absolutely hilarious. And I love that part, because to them it's animated right now.
Yes.
And so they think that's awesome. So
Yes.
it's getting inside of them. And they have a memory verse. So they're doing that every single day. So in the morning they come in, we sing a Pledge of Allegiance. So they know the Pledge of Allegiance. They do a school song, and then we do a morning prayer. So we're creating routine, which is so
Yes.
important with children.
Yes.
You have to create a routine with them. And then we have that time of learning, and then they have what they call play spaces. So then they understand, now it's time for this, the play
Yes.
space. Now it's time to wash our hands and get ready for lunch. And so they sit down, they eat lunch, and so we offer family style, which is important, so that they can do it themselves.
Wonderful.
Because when they go to school, the teacher is not standing over top of them with a spoon trying to feed them, but they're
No.
learning how to do it on their own. So they come home a little messy, but it's a part of the routine, right? Just to do that cognitively. And then socially, we try to do field trips, which
Okay.
is so important, because when you put them in the community, they learn how to be in society, right? And so every other month, just about, we take them on a field trip, right?
That's
So
awesome.
anywhere from Disney on Ice, where somebody's like, oh, that's just a bunch of play. You try taking 2 to 4-year-olds on a bus, off a bus,
Yes.
cross the street,
Uh-huh.
go inside, wait in line, go find your seat. It is exhausting. We've even had
And
parents.
it's deliberate.
Yes, it's very deliberate.
Yes.
Yes, because you're teaching them about
Exactly.
the street signs. Do you know when to stop? Do you know when
Right.
it says walk? Do you know when it says go? Do you know
Authentic
how to
learning.
look? Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, in the community.
Yes.
We had a parent one time say when he came back, and he's never been on a field trip since. He was like, I don't know how you guys do it. Whatever it is that it costs, I'm in. He's like, I'm never going to do this again. But it's a lot of work, and so I give a kudos to our staff, because it's a lot of work, but that's what we do socially with them.
Right.
And then we bring outside people in. So we have a gym teacher that comes in 2 times a week that
That's
does
awesome.
the physical piece with them. So when you talked about whether they can walk in a straight line,
Yes.
if you look at the test, it wants to know, can they skip? Can they jump?
Yes.
Can they hop? Can they run?
Yes.
And do they know the difference between those 4 activities, right? So the gym teacher comes in 2 times a week, and then we have textile art. So art with a heart comes in once a week, and so they do a different form of art. So not only do they get that other flat type of art, but now they're getting a textile type of art, so that they get to touch the texture stuff.
Yeah. And that text, I have a girlfriend who is so excellent with that. Oh, gracious. The word escapes me right. Sensory
Yes,
play.
yes.
She is
it's
so
great.
good. She has a set of twins, and she's always, like she'll put them on Facebook, and she's like a little sensory play. They're in the leaves this time. Then another time they're in the water. But she worked in the district with me. But that is something that's so important. And people, again, not understanding the power of play and how that's readying them for school and how that's readying them for success. Now a child sitting in a science class is not just hearing it, getting that audible experience, but they have the visual, they have the experience, and mentally in their memory they have that sensory experience of, I know what a leaf feels like. I've walked on grass barefooted or whatever the case may be. So there are things your learning center can do, but there's so many things that as a family we can do to support that.
Absolutely.
To support that. And that's really important. And we're going to talk a little more about the family because that's so key. But I just want to bring up this point. One of the things that our nation has been paying attention to for well over a decade is the gap. Yeah, is dealing with the gap that has occurred. And so they've looked at school districts, they've looked at teachers, teacher preparation, but it's important that we look at the individual and that we look at the family's ability to contribute to closing that academic gap, closing the gap. What is that? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank today with the word around gap, but they're achievement gap. There you go. I've been out the district for a little bit, y'all, so forgive me. But I love teaching and I love learning and I just love seeing children achieve, right? And I love teachers being prepared because, it all plays together, and you're going to see a diagram in just a little bit. Matter of fact, go ahead and put that up there for me. I want you to see the power of this. When I was a 5th grade teacher, I used to do this on the first day of school. I would tell my students their success is up to them, and we're like the legs of a tripod almost that support you. Your family, the exposure they give you, the support they give you, and then your learning center, your teacher, your school. All of that plays together to student success. Thank you for that. But just to know that triad closes the achievement gap.
Yes, it does.
It helps children to soar. And so they've been looking at that gap, and one of the things that has really touched my heart about that gap is that if we are aware of that gap and we are aware that simple things like talking with our children, we love our children, so it shouldn't be hard or laborious to talk to them. Include them in not adult conversation, but everyday conversation. When you're going in the grocery store and you're saying things like, wow, this bag of potato, this pound of potato is a little bit heavy or something, or either you're saying, wow, these avocados look really green, they're firm, and you let them touch. There's so many little things we can do in our everyday that give them those experiences they need, the vocabulary they need, that sensory experience they need that helps to close that gap. And they're no little things, they're really quite big. So I just want to talk to you about this a little bit when I think in terms of the gap. What are some ways that Kid Stuff has helped families bridge that gap despite whether the education level in the family may be low? Sometimes your mom and dad have dropped out of school, maybe 2 or 3 generations, and you feel ill-equipped, but really you're not. What are some things you do to help them bridge that gap within the family? Or what if the economic situation is limited? How have you helped families to help their children so that that gap can be closed?
So the biggest thing that we do is we offer parenting classes.
Okay.
And I got to tell you that in certain communities, the word parenting class is like, ooh,
Yeah.
I don't need a class to know how to be a parent. But it's not about telling you how to be a parent. It's about supporting you in your parent journey.
Hey,
and
I
so
like that.
we give you a parenting class, and we use a curriculum called the Circle of Security.
Yes.
That was a tongue twister. So the Circle of Security really basically teaches a parent about being the blanket, being that security blanket for the child, and allowing that child, teaching the child to go out in the world and explore and come back to the home base, which is the parent, right?
Yeah.
And so that means that the parent has to understand what a home base is.
Yes.
And how do you receive the child when you come back to the home base?
Yes.
And then what is appropriate when the child goes out to explore?
Right.
So you don't beat them because they explored to the left when really the exit should have went to the right. When they come back to the home base, you talk to them about, why did you go to the left? And now hear the benefits of going to the right.
Right.
Because everything is not a punishment.
Right.
It just was exploring.
Learning, discovering.
Right.
Yes.
We still explore as adults. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't get it right every day. So with this, it really teaches them about going out and exploring. So that's the biggest thing that we do.
Okay.
Is we allow, and it also allows the parents to meet other parents.
Yes.
So then they form a really nice parent group, right? And then we have a parent board. So the parents are always having an outlet to come together to talk to
so
one
you learn
another.
that your 2-year-old is like most 2-year-olds.
Right.
Okay. Go
Right.
ahead.
And that your 3-year-old might be worse than a 2-year-old.
Yes.
Right. So that's what happens in that environment. And then we have the curriculum that we have has a home component to it.
Okay. Wow.
So that home component allows them to do certain things with the children at home that reinforces what's happening in school.
Awesome.
Right. So that part where you talk about reading to them,
Yes.
it really encourages them to read to them no less than 15 minutes a night. Right, which we talked about kind of works with the brain waves. It really works with the brain waves of children, birth to 5, when you read to them every day.
You know, language is so important. I have an autistic nephew. You guys have heard me mention him before. I love you, Joshua. So when he was young, he didn't display anything special. And then all of a sudden, we started noticing something. Well, I was into American Sign Language at the time, and so I said, well, I know in sign language, one of the things, or in the deaf community, one of the unfortunate things is it's called the invisible handicap. And so a lot of parents don't even know their child is deaf a lot of times until they get into elementary school. And you may say, you got to be kidding me. No, because they are adept at reading your body language, and they learn how to flow with you. And so they're responsive to you. You don't even get that the hearing is not there, but all the rest of the stuff is sharp, right? And so with that, I immediately said, hey, research says the earlier the brain gets language, the more it grows. The later the brain gets language, the less it kind of stifles some of the growth, right? And so I said, until we know what's going on, we're going to sign to him. And so I showed my family basic signs. Now, my nephew was diagnosed severely autistic. Well, we're Christians, so we said that's a lie anyway, and we laid some hands on him and called the name of Jesus. But then we started signing to the boy. I'm telling you, if you meet him today, he will come up in your face, look you in your eye, and talk to you. He doesn't have a lot of those tics and things like that that go along with autism. He's just this awesome. But that was one thing. But taking that into the classroom, knowing how important it was to get language to our children.
So important.
So important. And guess what? Somebody said, I don't know, 15 minutes. In 24 hours, you're saying I do not have 15 minutes per child. And if you have more than one, you can huddle them.
Yes.
But you're saying I don't have 15 minutes to stop texting, checking Facebook, talking on the phone, watching TV, driving, cleaning, cooking. In 24 hours, I'm raising human beings who I want to hold accountable, but I don't have 15 minutes to deliberately deposit into the enlarging of their vocabulary, to give them language so the brain continues to expand with it, and so that I equip them to be more operable in society. I don't think any of us mean to say that. And so 15 minutes worth of reading is so powerful. I remember when I was in grad school, I was doing some research on literacy, and I remember coming across this. I love it. And I was like, man, if I ever go up really high in Baltimore City public school system, I'm going to implement this, right? Well, my path took a different path. But I love this. This one state in the United States, they have partnered some kind of way with the hospitals that when a child is born, so say in 2 or 3 days you're in the hospital and then you're home. When a child is born, they send a welcome package from the school system to the home that says, congratulations on your new baby, but it says, welcome, we look forward to seeing you in 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
And they talk to the parents in that packet about reading to the child, and they also include their first book.
Nice.
Is that awesome? Because, you know, in that I found out, I don't know the current statistic because it's been many years now, but I remember being appalled at the statistic at that time of how many children, listen to me, that do not have books in their home. I grew up with a bookshelf in my room. You know, back in the day, every home would buy an encyclopedia. You know, your parents had to do payments on them, Britannicas. So we had encyclopedias. We had a dictionary. You had, like, at school, what's that thing that you, like a newspaper, and you pick the books and your parents, Scholastic.
Oh, Scholastic.
Scholastic orders and all this stuff. So books were constantly flowing in our environment. But to do that study and found out that there are not a little, a lot of children that do not have books, age-appropriate books in their home, do not have bookshelves in their home, and they see no adult who read books in their home.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. And that study went on to make me then explore into the conversation. Found out at one time, kids came to school with over 8,000 words. Children were down to like 400 words back when I did that research. And guess why? Because parents weren't talking to children. What parents were doing, no ill intent, what we do is say, come here, do that, stop it, sit down, eat, go to bed, wash your face. We were given commands. And the commands get repeated every day. Because every day you say brush your teeth. Every day you say eat. And so the vocabulary shrunk because I'm giving you the same commands pretty much, right? And so it was unfortunate that the vocabulary was shrinking like that. And so what we find is that literacy is of utmost importance for the brain waves, for the expansion of the brain, for vocabulary attainment, for conversation skills, for social and emotional development, because we bond in conversations as well. And so it's a lot that happens in that. So I'm really glad to hear about that. And maybe talk a little more. Are there any other things that Kids Stuff does to promote reading, math, or literacy?
So we do have the Scholastic Club.
Okay, awesome.
Which is awesome. So we encourage parents to buy one book a month to increase their library. So like you and I grew up with libraries in our homes. Children need to do that. Then you teach them about books and about how to love books and about what the front of the book is. You know, we have like a little song, and this is the spine that holds the pages together. Who's the author? Who's the illustrator? So we really dig into what are books, right? And really, I know that it's really popular. Have like Nooks and stuff like that. Really try to get them in the pages of a book, though. Because most
especially
children,
young.
Especially young, because even though they have good technology skills, just because of the society we live in, they still need to be able to put their hands on a book. And you need to be able to hear them begin to learn reading, right? And you do that with a book in hand.
It's so very valuable. Very valuable. And you have something too about science. What is it?
Oh yeah, we do have a science program. So we participate. So you're gonna put me on the spot because I can't remember what PEEP stands for. But
okay, no problem.
We have the PEEP program, and it's about science and technology and bringing that into our environment even at this young age. And we also, and the PEEP comes with STEM. The STEM program, which is a big, huge buzzword.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
And math, exactly. So they have it in the PEEP program that really introduces children to that science component at a young age. And that is like a 6-week course every year that the children get involved in.
You know, little things that we do at home. I remember one of my friends, when they had their children, they took empty water bottles. And so in one bottle, they put some colored water. In another bottle, they put some oil in water. In another bottle, they put some sand. You know, all that stuff. It seems so small.
But it's huge to them.
It's huge, and it is so getting them ready for school, because honestly, real education hinges on exploration. It really does. If you don't explore, if you just sit there like a robot and let your teacher just bum, 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 and then you regurgitate it, you know, with no understanding, with no exploration, with no delving into it, learning really hasn't taken place. What has happened is memorization. And our kids are worth so much more than memorization. You know, remember your math facts, sure. Remember your alphabet, wonderful. You want that stuff. You want it to be like automatic, right? But you want to learn. And so we want our kids ready for that. We want them exposed to that. So I'm so thankful that you came on the show on tonight and that you talked to us about a lot of the ways that Kids Stuff prepares children for school readiness. And I'm not even being down low about it. I'm promoting kid stuff. I think they are fabulous. And not because they let us use their building, but because when I was in education, I would go over there. And I even worked with the staff at one time. And so I got to see from a consulting aspect that this is a business that's really about the readiness of children, that's really about the whole child. They're not just trying to collect dollars to have babies there. You know, it's a beautiful facility. You're going to love it. It's easy to get to. But I got into the conversations with the teachers. I got to hear the comments of the parents. And I got to participate in the enthusiasm of the children as they learn. When I was a classroom teacher, I had a lively class. Like I said, I was 5th grade, so I was on that intermediate level. I had kids in 3rd grade writing me letters saying, Ms. Katripas, can I be in your class when I get in the 5th grade? You know what I'm saying? Because learning should be that inviting, that safe, and that fun.
Yes.
And I honestly want to commend you because that's what I see. My grandson went there, and he's in school now, and he goes, can I go back to my old school? You know, and I mean, that speaks volumes to me. And I'm sure a lot of parents probably could hit my Facebook right now and kind of give a shout out for their kids that do that. We have doctors whose kids go there. We have moms who are trying to get their GED whose kids go there. And the kids are all being treated with love and respect, and they are learning to appreciate learning. They are learning that they are somebody and they can really learn. And so I just want to give you your kudos for that. Thank you for Kids Stuff in the Community. Thank you for being my guest on today. I was really excited about it because we talked about one of my favorite topics. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I want you to come back next week, bring another friend. We said that this is victorious living, and our babies are a part of our victorious living. Their learning is a part of our victorious living. Their ultimate success is a part of our victorious living. So come back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. right here on Power of Purpose Radio, and we will unveil another aspect of victorious living. Join us tonight on Tuesday, Tell a Prayer, tomorrow at Adult Bible Study, and come on out Sunday. We got some good things happening at 10 a.m. at 1900 North Broadway at In Remembrance Ministries. Have a great week. A victorious week. Victorious week. And this week, read.